Byron.
Hey, how we doing?
All right, how are you?
Good. We only two on so far?
Just started, yes.
Okay, yeah, I was having trouble. It was asking for a password at first and then it stopped. After the several attempts, I don't know what that was all about.
Neither do I. I catch you in the middle of dinner.
Well, it's been a busy afternoon. Taking advantage of the weather. Working outside, so I got a little behind.
Yeah.
Does it start at 6:30 or 7?
The meeting itself starts at 7.
Oh, okay. I'm early.
This is just to give time people to sign on.
So have you been out to Menke at all?
Not since last year. Between the snow melt and the intermittent rains and thawing, and I don't even know if the ground's dry enough yet.
It'll be a little soft.
That'll be even softer after this week.
Yeah, we need it though.
Yes, yeah.
Pretty sad about Terry.
I heard, yeah.
Yeah.
You've been doing pretty well, and then it has turned to the worst. Happened so suddenly.
Yeah. That's how that usually goes. You can fight it off for a little while, but when it comes back with a vengeance.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the worst areas in the body to actually get it.
In the brain, yeah.
Not a lot of defense there.
And much too delicate to do any major surgery to get rid of it.
They originally got some of it. I had a friend that had it too, and luckily his was between the brain and the skull, and they got all of it. So is there any chance we're gonna get back to the in-person meetings?
I emailed the coordinator at Ambrose to ask if a room could be available. I haven't heard back. Actually, that was at least a week, maybe 2 weeks ago. I probably need to contact her again. Even if we do, we want to maintain at least a virtual component to it for just so like the members who live like miles and miles away don't have to
Come in.
Yeah, they have that option.
Yeah,
And Jeff,
I heard part of that. So yeah, about meeting live. If we can't get back into Ambrose, we can always go downtown to Doubletree because they'd love to have us there until we can get back into Ambrose. I just need a few days notice, but double check with them first, I think.
I'll email the classroom coordinator again when we get back to we're on spring break right now, but as soon as I get back, I'll email her again.
But Byron, good to see you again. That looks yummy.
Chicken tortilla soup.
Oh, that is awesome. Did you make it or is it bought from somewhere?
Oh, it's crock pot, homemade.
I would vote to have the meetings over at Byron's place.
She's a good cook.
Evening, gentlemen.
Hello.
Travis,
Trapezoid.
You look familiar, but I don't know who you are, strange man.
I just counted. I think I only have 11 more days of work.
You mean 11 more days of showing up?
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
You retiring?
Yeah, May 2nd is the official date, but I'm burning PTO right now, so I go in like 2 days a week.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you so much. I plan on spending quite a bit of time catching up on all the astronomy I haven't been able to do because Claire Night's mainly being during the week. So
I'm jealous.
You gotta do anything part-time or just hang it up?
I think I'm going to hang it up for now. I've got a lot of stuff I can do, but I hear a lot of people that retire after a while, they get bored and don't know what to do. So I've got a couple options open to me. It will sound funny. I always wanted to be a host at Village Inn and just walk around and ask people if they want coffee and check people out. And she says, anytime I want to do that, they'll take me on anytime I want. So I thought I'd give it a year or so with doing nothing and then decide whether or not I want to do something else. Then Wilton Observatory wants me to handle that for them. And I was going to talk to Robert and see if he wanted me to be his assistant for Menke. So.
my parents got so bored after retirement, they wound up on their town select board.
Yeah, I retired in June from driving. And now I just work part-time out at the Davenport Airport. I couldn't do I mean, it'd drive me nuts not having anything to do. So I go out 6 and get done anywhere from around 11 to noon. When we start mowing again, it'll probably go past noon a little bit. But right now we're just we sit around till it snows and then we hit the taxiways and runways. And nothing too exciting.
So you help to keep the runways clear.
What's that?
You help to keep the runways clear.
Yeah, there's just 2 of us that take care of the runways and the taxiways out there.
As someone who flies out of the airport for every Christmas break, I thank you.
Well, you probably fly out of Moline.
Yes.
This is Davenport,
Oh,
where they have the air shows.
oh,
So yeah, we keep that clear. There's a lot of charters out there, a lot of training.
hmm.
So there's if you ever want to get your pilot's license, they'll set you right up.
Yeah, I'd need training wheels for a long time.
Yeah. It's quite pricey too. It's I think $160 for the plane an hour, and then another $60 an hour for the pilot to train you. So there's what, $220 an hour. Most people run 2-hour sessions. I think there was 4 planes scheduled today, and each plane had 3 sessions. So they're all 2 hours apiece. They have a training program out there to be a airframe power plant too.
I wonder if you can pay for somebody's gas out there to fly you someplace and drop you off.
Well, they have the charters, but there you're talking big bucks. I know the jets are anywhere from $2,800 to $3,200 an hour. The King Air twin props, they're lower than that. I'm not sure what they run. Probably around $1,400.
You got that in your
I'm
budget?
gonna say no.
It's just a couple dimes for Struve.
Yeah. Isn't that in the budget for St. Ambrose for doing the eclipse?
Yeah, there you go.
I wish.
They corporate people get on those things all the time, fly to Florida. If they're going to come back the same day the plane will wait, they don't have to pay for the plane to wait as far as per hour, only when the plane is in operation. They have to pay a fee for the pilot to sit on hold though.
They
I don't know
coast?
how
Can
much that-
Can they coast a lot?
Yeah, no. But you know, those little jets fly above everybody else. They're up in the 40,000 range. When the big commercial jets, you know, they're hovering in the mid 30s. So they're up above everybody else, and they pretty much got a clear shot once they get the altitude.
Huh, I didn't know that at all.
Almost get high enough to run an infrared telescope. Hi, Sam.
Hello.
I don't know if you saw Jim's email. Jim will not be here tonight.
Is he still down in Florida?
I think, yeah, he was up here for a bit, but I think he's back down there now again.
I think he said he's not coming back until May.
Okay.
I agree.
Hmm. Of course, that severe weather that's going through Texas and Louisiana right now is headed Florida's way. You might want to reconsider.
Well, I think they're hardened for hurricanes, so I don't know if a land-based storm will bug those people too much. They're pretty hardened to the worst.
Yeah, but Jim always spends winters there.
Yeah. We've already had a few tornadoes this year already.
That's the west side of Davenport.
Yeah. I guess in like a lion, out like a lamb, I hope.
We'll see.
Only a few days left. First week was rough.
Hmm.
I had a guy on cloudy nights respond to my ad for a used CGEM or CGEM 2 over in Yorkville, Illinois. I made arrangements to go over and get the mount and of course look at it. And it was in great shape when I got there. And he had a Celestron power pack he was going to sell with it. So I said, well, let's hook this thing up. I want to do just like a little mock alignment just to make sure the RA and DA are working. And hook that thing up and put the date and time in there. And it went to a 2-star and I started it up and the only thing moved was the DA. The RA wouldn't move. So we shut it off, put it back on the axis, and went to a different power source just in case that battery pack was too low. So we did an AC adapter into it. Same thing. Tried it, twice with that. It kept coming up. Well, after I did it twice, then it came up with no response, code 17 on the hand controller. And he's got other, he had an AVX mount there and then another, looked like maybe a Skywatcher. And I find it hard to believe he didn't know that mount wasn't working. So he, the whole time that was going on, I mean, I had to ask him after the third try, I said, do you understand what's going on here? And he said, well, because I must not be working right. I said, well, it's not working right. I said, the worst one of all, the one that's the RA access is pretty important. And he turned around and said, well, I guess I'll have to have it fixed unless you want to take it and get it fixed. I said, well, I tell you what, I said, you wanted $1,200 for it. I said, if I can't fix this, I can't find the parts. I said, I could sell some of the parts at work and I might make $500. I said, I'll give you $500 for it. And he said, no way. Because I got an electronics guy and I'll go have him fix it. And I said, well, it all depends on availability of the part. And in Celestron, that's kind of a task. They don't do a lot of spare parts.
Yeah, you might have meant that generically because I don't think that was necessarily an electronics part. That sounds more like a mechanical issue, maybe.
It could be that RA servo. That could be it. I get muted. Oh, there we go.
Oh, we can hear you.
I can hear you fine.
Okay. Now the red sign came up in the corner like I was muting, but I ended up getting an open box, which was pretty much brand new from Adorama Camera out of New York for less money shipped. And I got it and it works perfect. There's not a single sign that there's ever been a telescope mounted to that mount.
Yeah, I know with High Point, once in a while they have open boxes just because they want to put something on sale and they're not allowed to put it on sale. So they just call it an open box. As a matter of fact, Dr. Mitchell, I think your 14-inch SCT over at Menke was a so-called open box.
Yes.
Yeah, it didn't look like the box had ever been messed with or opened. So I'm happy with that.
What is it again, Byron, that you ended up with?
CGEM 2.
Cool.
I have the CGEM 1 and the CGEM 2, and I'm selling my AVX. I think the guy across the street here that's new to astronomy and he's wanting to get into astrophotography. He's got a Nikon with a huge lens on it. So he's wanting a tracking mount to put that camera on to take some shots with that lens and then maybe get a telescope. So he's still going to need to get one of those splitters for that mount where he can still run an auto guider on one side and the camera next to it. So yeah, I think it's gone, hopefully. So has anybody been out shooting at all? No.
I've got a new scope coming in next week, and hopefully that will entice me to get out.
So did you get rid of the Stellina?
Yeah, I
You
sent
did.
that back. Yeah, I didn't even crack it out of the box.
So what are you getting now?
I've got one of those 100 millimeter Lunt day-night scopes coming in,
Oh, okay.
so I'm excited about that. I sold my 102 millimeter Explore Scientific, and I sold my 60 millimeter Lunt, and sent back the Stellina, and that's all paying for this Lunt.
Okay. So that's a triplet.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't really want 100 millimeter, but that's their 80 millimeters a doublet, and they don't start the triplets until the 100 millimeters. So that's what I went with.
Hey, Rusty.
Greetings, gentlemen,
Hey, Rusty.
Who came in?
and Byron.
Rusty, we have to talk about my pier that you've got.
Yeah, it's sitting in my garage.
I realize. Wouldn't you rather have a few dollars in your garage instead of that big hunk of iron?
Well, you know, if somebody would have their hole dug and I could, finish welding it, well, then it would be done.
Well, I'm still trying to find somebody that wants to dig a hole. I'm
Oh,
gonna get a hold of the guy that did the dome for us out at Menke and see if he'll do the same thing for me.
there you go.
Where are you putting a pier in at?
Well, it's really stupid that I'm spending a penny on it, but in my backyard, I can see about 15 degrees of the northern sky is all. And I bought a dome, so I've got a dome building I've had for 4 years now, just sitting on the grass. But I've been looking for somebody that'll do a pier and pour a slab for me, and I wasn't able to find anybody, and I gave up after about 2 years. And then COVID hit, so.
Well, don't you own a side-by-side lot?
Yeah, originally when I bought the thing, Riverdale was going to let me put it on one of those lots. And then they decided, well, we really can't have a separate building without a primary building. So they said you can combine two of your lots, where my house is at. And I said, well, no, I don't want to do that because then I lose the value of a commercial lot. So ends up in the backyard. So
You're too nice. I wouldn't have asked. I just put it up.
yeah. Well, I was on the review board, so I didn't want to push anything that far. But who knows? Maybe I'll make a mistake and the guy will dig the hole in the wrong place by about 40 foot.
There you go.
Hey, well, government stuff happens like that all the time. So they miss by 50 foot. Who cares?
Maybe they'll get lucky and they'll strike oil.
There you go.
If I could figure out a way to automate that dome that I've got, the roof, I might talk Dr. Mitchell into let me put it out at Menke, and I'll donate it to the club after I am good and gone. And I'll just put my gear there and remote it here from home.
Sounds good to me.
I mean, is that dome set up to be automated?
No, heck, the dome's from like the 1950s. This company, I think, used to make like airplane fuselages or something. And it's called like Boyd, B-O-Y-D Observatories. They were building them in, I don't know, the 50s or the 60s. I forgot. It's just old, but it's pretty. It's a nice shape. It's only a 6-foot dome though. So it won't hold my big refractor, but it's perfect for my 11-inch SCT. So I thought I've got Rusty's got my pier, and I was going to put the 10 micron on there and the 11-inch SET and just set in my living room, and play with it from home, and my whole 15 degrees of sky that I get.
Whatever.
That wouldn't be worth doing it.
Yeah, they're barely worth it. I get a nice view of Polaris, so I can get a darn nice polar alignment, but I can't do anything else.
Whenever you use to automate your dome, would it scale your 6-foot dome? Would it scale up to our 16-foot dome?
You know what? The only hard thing about it is hooking a motor up to it to turn it freely and easily. And the rest of the electronics really isn't all that horrible. I haven't done it before, but it's just all a matter of calibrating the electronics. And I've seen them do that, and it's basically you hook it up to your mount, and when your mount moves, it moves along with it.
We probably have to get a new motor. The one that's in the 60 is now it never works 100% of the time.
Yeah, and I don't know whether it's best to have like a gear driven one, and then raising and lowering that iris on Menke is a little bit rough. And mine would be too, but I figured for me, I could just always go outside and drop the iris, because I think the whole thing just drops down on mine. I don't remember. And then I just come inside and just, if I wanted to image all night long, I'd let it just run on its own, then go out in the morning and close it. So it wouldn't be as fancy as what you could do out there, but
you almost need like a shed with a roll-off roof for it. That's all you got to worry about, is just programming that thing. You roll that roof off, and then you don't got to worry about anything tracking. And then when you're done, that roof shuts back over again.
Yeah, that's what we've got out at Wilton, and all that's automated. It's got the rain sensors and cloud sensors and all that kind of stuff on there. So, it detects moisture in the air, it drops the pier and closes the roof. So it's pretty awesome, but it's pretty expensive though, what they've got. So.
Rolando, hello.
Yes, hi. How you doing?
Oh. We're on spring break right now, and I still feel tired.
So how many of your students are still, how many are in class and how many are still remote?
We're all in person now.
Oh, okay.
Actually, Ambrose just ended the mask mandates last month, although professors still have the option to require them in their own classes, which I'm still doing. Alan, good evening.
Good evening. How you doing?
All right, how are you doing?
Good.
I was sorry to hear about Terry.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a big loss to both clubs.
Well, he's in a perfect position to do something about these skies for us now.
Yeah, he's still making observations. He's just got a better vantage point now.
Two minutes to start.
Yes.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Howdy, Mike. Hey, Mike, I probably have gotten it from you already, but can I get the contact information for the guy that did the concrete work on the dome out there? I'm going to drop him an email and see if he wants to do mine at his convenience, not early or late or whatever, just,
Yeah.
if he's in this neck of the woods and wants to do it. Rusty is yelling at me because I don't have a hole dug yet, so I thought I'd better get him off my back.
You want his email address?
Whatever you think is the best way for me to get a hold of him. I don't want to, like bug him or anything. So if an email is better than a phone call, that's fine.
Okay, I'll spell it to you.
Okay.
It's capital D A N. These are all small letters now. CHUMBLEY 90@gmail.com. As busy as he probably is, it'd probably be good just to email him rather than call.
Okay. Yeah. And I've been waiting for years. So I'll drop him an email and then I'll give him a week or two and then maybe a follow-up email. But it would be like, if I just read it, it would be danchumbley90@gmail.
Right.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And with that, let's get this party started. That's a song lyric, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. All right. And we are recording. So please, no F-bombs. All right.
What the fudge?
That one's fine. That one's fine.
Okay.
All right. So then we get the agenda that I sent out yesterday.
Yeah.
All right. So first on format of future meetings, I sent an email to the classroom coordinator at St. Ambrose asking about possibly getting a room available so we can go back to at least partly in-person meetings. I have not heard back from her yet. I'll email her again once we're back from spring break.
When is spring break over again?
Next Monday.
Okay. And then if we don't hear back or if they say no, do we want to go ahead and meet over at the Doubletree?
A few of us tried out the Doubletree earlier this year, and looks like it could work for a meeting, at least certain
Yep.
areas of it.
Yeah, we can take that back room.
Yeah. It's even got a large blank wall that we might be able to use as a screen for projected shows.
Right. And I can bring a screen anyway, just in case. But before we do that, I can go over there and practice. I'll just set up my little projector and shoot it on the wall. And if it works, we don't need the screen. But yeah, they've got Wi-Fi over there and,
Mhm.
so, I don't know whether that's something that we need to vote on here or not, or just wait for the board. But my opinion would be to start live meetings in April. And if we can't have it at St. Ambrose right away, we'll just move down to Doubletree until we can go back to Ambrose.
And for the record, our next meeting, our next regular club meeting is April 18th. So we've got about a month to decide on that. Steve, welcome to the meeting. Okay, so as soon as we hear anything new about venues, we'll let the club know. Let's see. All right, past events. QCAS's last public night was on March 5th. And of course, after a week of pretty much sunny weather and clear skies, that weekend was rained out, so it was virtual only. I think about 6 of us total went online for it, and we basically just chewed the fat for a while. Anything to add about it? And then PAC had their last meeting on the 14th. And a public night at Niabi on the 19th. Alan, how did those go?
Yeah, pretty
Alan,
well.
Rusty, sorry, Alan, Rusty. Anyone?
Yeah, it went okay. The PAC meeting. That would have been last week, actually. Yours is 1 week after ours, so it would have been Monday night, and that was good. It was a smorgasbord event. We have had our quarterly business meeting followed by the short presentations from club members. So there wasn't an organized presentation like we've had with other meetings. So it was kind of a fun event. And then last Saturday was our Niabi event, and it really turned out pretty well. It was pretty chilly, but it was clear, and we had, well, I don't know how many telescopes we had set up, but there was quite a few telescopes, including the PACMO, and we had a pretty good group of people from the community come out. We had some visitors from Dubuque, actually, that came down, and it was pretty good.
Very good. All right. So upcoming events. April 2nd is our club's Messier Marathon. So the Messier Marathon. It's just weather permitting, everything's good to go for it.
Yep, and we can send out, when we get a little bit closer, we can send out a reminder to not only QCAS, but send it out to PAC and to CAA, because I don't know anybody else that's got one going on that weekend. So again, this is really an amateur astronomer event rather than a public one. And really the only reason is because some folks get kind of serious in trying to do these things, and it's real hard to be polite if you're scurrying around trying to find objects, and we don't want to turn off any public or any guests or anything. You can bring guests if you like, as long as you take care of them. So, although I don't care, I'm not going to be doing it in anything serious either, so they can see what I'm doing. But I don't know if Ken will be there, but Ken does it really seriously. So I would not even get close to Ken. And I don't know whether anybody else plans on doing anything real seriously, imaging them or visually or otherwise, but I rambled enough.
Should we get an informal head count before the event, just to have some idea of how many people are going to show up?
And what night is it again?
It's Saturday, April 2nd.
April 2nd.
Yeah.
Saturday.
At Menke?
Yeah.
Yes.
And the last one we had that wasn't weathered out, Matt and I started like at 8 PM and we stopped at 6 AM. So you go as long as you want to, but it does take that long if you're trying to get all of them. Sunset to sunrise. So
If the weather's good, I'm in.
Yeah, I'm sure planning to go too, weather permitting. I don't know if I'll commit to 6 AM, but
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll second that. Yeah, won't be that late for me.
there's no rules at all. The only thing would be is I do know that when Matt and I did it, there was about a 20-minute break somewhere between 11:30 and 12:30 that we actually could take a breath because we saw everything that was up already and we had to wait a little bit for something to come up on the east. So that was the only time we were able to go inside the building. So that could be a perfect time to leave. You know, I can look at my little chart and see what time it is, but it would be about then to have a white light or do whatever. And the only caveat, and yeah, I saw Rolando, you started talking. The only caveat there a little bit is if somebody's doing some imaging, we want to be polite and watch white lights for that.
Will it be catered?
Well, depending on if there's people there, I don't mind us going out and grabbing some pizzas and bringing them in, or I could throw on a crock pot of chili and bring it out. Like I said, the only one we've really had was just Matt and I, and there really wasn't enough time for us to even eat. We were just running back and forth between each other's scopes, verifying that we found what we were looking at. So we'd find something and yell at the other guy, and he'd run over and take a peek, and yeah, that's what it is. And then, back and forth. So, but yeah.
I plan on being there. So put me down. Say head count.
you have to find both albarios to get it, Struve.
So we have Rolando, Byron, Travis.
Yeah, I'm
Jeff.
sorry. I just had to wake up my phone again and I was missing. So I know, Robert, you're going to be there, right? I mean,
I haven't decided yet.
Okay.
But if I do go, I'm not staying the whole night.
yeah, it'd just be a partial thing. This isn't guaranteeing for the whole night. So Byron, Rolando, I know I will be there. Who else said that they were interested?
You can put me down for maybe.
Yeah, you can put me down for maybe too.
I'm
All
a
the
good
fun.
possible maybe also.
Okay.
And I can further add that St. Ambrose is no longer mandating masks inside its building, so that applies. So you have to go inside the classroom. Same deal. Mask mandates are done.
I would bet that we'd have the Dubuque guys show up for this because Cecil would probably do his 30-inch that night too. So that'd be a big plus.
Mhm. All right, anything else?
What else do we have? Anything in March? Any kind of public events or in April?
Well, yeah, there are more in April. We've got our next public night on April 9th. That's a QCAS night. So as usual, we'll see how the weather works. April 11th is PAC's next meeting. April 16th is their next night at Niabi. And then April 23rd is St. Ambrose's first public night of the year. So we'll be out at Menke for that one. And then, of course, there's Astronomy Day on May 7th. So unless anything's changed, I understand we're still good to go for that at Bettendorf High School. So.
Yep. Hey, Alan. Oh, did he go? Yeah, we'll wait for him.
He's there. He's
Coming back.
trying to do a forced perspective.
Watch relaxing, didn't I?
I was just sitting in my recliner chair there,
I
watching
know.
the big screen TV.
I don't blame you. Hey, April 7th is our astronomy day. I don't know whether.
May 7th, May 7th.
Excuse me, thank you, May 7th. I don't know whether what PAC has got going on, but if you guys wanted to participate in that, it'd be great. If not, that's okay too. And we can talk later about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure some PAC members will, especially ones that are joint members probably do it.
Yeah, that'd be fine. And yeah, during the day it's at Bettendorf High School, and at night it's out at Menke. So,
Mhm.
and they don't have to do, you can do one or the other,
Or both.
or both.
Okay.
Right. And that was the limit of upcoming events on my list. Are there any other public events that might not be on the list?
I'm going to start going up to Cedar Amateur Astronomers again. And I think that's the first Tuesday or the first Thursday of the month. I'll probably start that in May. If anybody wants to go, I'll start blasting out emails. They can go up with me if they like. It does make a late night because their meetings are like really long, and I don't think I get home until like 11 p.m. between 11 and 12. So, but their meetings are fun and interesting.
Do they have a virtual component?
They were having them, but I don't know how well they worked out for them. The way their format is, it almost seemed like they were only doing the business part. So I'll have to check with them again.
Okay. All right. Well, let's see. We're in for like 2 or 3 days of wet weather right now, so I'm assuming somebody in the club must have bought some new gear.
Come on, Rolando.
You're muted.
Yep, I didn't buy new gear, I bought used gear. I bought just sold 60 Lunt solar scope. That's all I purchased. My binoculars still haven't come in yet, so I'm waiting for those.
I got something.
Steve?
I'm gonna try to show you a picture of it, but let me see if I can figure this out.
Check it.
Mm,
Should be able to share your screen.
I'm gonna try. One more time. There it is. Can you see that?
Was that spiral bound?
I went to Office Depot and bought some spiral bound index cards for $4.99. And that way, so this is like 50 cards and it's spiral bound, right? That way, if you're going to do one of these astronomical lead programs, you got a page, you got the whole program. So I did this during COVID, obviously. Okay. So what you do, this one's done, but like, here's one I haven't done yet. So you got a place for a sketch. You got a place for some, notes. Then you got the date and time and all that kind of stuff. And then you make a little drawing here of where's the star. So you make a little star hop thing, like you star hop here from the Little Dipper to this star here. And I guess that's supposed to be a double star.
Mhm.
So this program is, I think, binocular doubles. So I made up this whole book during COVID because it takes a long time to make up all of the, what do you want to call it? The sketches. Okay. Because, I'm no artist, but I made up one. Like here's Cassiopeia. Okay, and then once again, and then when you're done, so that way you got basically you got the whole program in a book, right in front of you. You don't, so you're doing the desk activity first, and then as the stars advance, night by night, when you got time, you can take your binoculars out, and then you can just check one or two of them off when you get some time.
That's a great idea.
Ta-da!
You ought to
See
make
here.
copies of that and sell them.
Well, no, I got the idea from something from that the old Telrad, when the Telrad first came out, like in the late 70s, they used to come out with these Telrad charts, and they still sell them like on Amazon, and they come in a book like that, and they're called like, double stars that are rarely seen or something like, and there's a couple books. So some of them are Messier objects. So I made a couple books, one for the Messier objects and one book for the telescopic doubles and one for the binocular doubles. So you got some, the Messier you wouldn't do in the city, but like the binocular doubles you would do in the city, and the telescopic doubles you would do in the city for the most part. And I just started this because I did this. It takes a long time to get these books set up. Okay. I mean, during COVID, we had a whole year of just isolation. So that's what I did. So I'm finally doing the observing part of it now, so you might just do one a night. You might do 2 or 3 a night, but it takes a little while to, to sketch something. It takes a little while to write something down. And you think you don't know what you're going to write, but I think that once you start doing these, you kind of get a little thing. It's like, what did it take you to find it? Was it easy to find it? What did you have to do to find it? And so on. So anyway, $4.99. Next.
I'll show you my CGEM. Open box. Let's see. Get the camera right. So there it is, still on the tripod.
And that's brand new.
Well, it was open box from Adorama camera out of New York, and there's not a sign of any use whatsoever, not on the counterweight bar or on the actual mount head. I mean, there's no sign of anything ever sitting on that mount. So I think it's just something they probably found. And it was on eBay, and I didn't even know who it was at first. And they wanted $13.50 for it, and I shot them a bid and got it. It was like more like an offer. But yeah, well, 2. First one they declined, the second one they took. So worked out well.
Cool. Well, anybody else before I say mine? Yeah, I ended up a week ago or so ordering that 100 millimeter Lunt solar nighttime scope. I'm going to see if I can, and it's supposed to be in next week. Oh, let me do it this way. You see the picture of the scope?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So I went ahead and got it with the 1800 filter instead of the 1200. So that's a little bit better format for a camera. And then I ordered it with a feather touch focuser on it. So it beefed up the price a little bit more. But I wrote to Lunt getting an estimated time, and they said sometime next week I ought to have it. So it's being built this week and tested and shipped out next week. So I'm kind of excited to get that. So I'm thinking that'll spur me on to start doing some of my own stuff again. So I'm excited.
What's the focal ratio on that?
It's an F7.
F7, okay.
Yeah.
It's a beauty.
Yeah, it is a triplet. And then it has the 1800 a blocking filter on it. So it should do really, really well. I've heard somebody made a comment about a triplet lens not being the greatest to use for solar astronomy for some reason. And I can't find that. And I asked Lunt about it, and they said, no, that's not the case, that it won't provide any benefits to solar, but it won't cause any problems either. So we'll see. I know it was a little bit hard for me to sell my 60 to Rolando because it's the 60 I just loved. It had the perfect field of view for me, and the view of it was incredible. And of course, when I was out at the David Levy Star Party, I drove to Lunt and had them tweak on it, so it's never been shipped anyplace. So it's, right from the factory, all tuned up, ready to go. And I worry a little bit about them shipping this 100 millimeter to me, knowing what shipping can do to scopes, and the little spacers and stuff they've got in an H alpha scope is pretty critical. So I'm just hoping that they're very careful with it and it's packed real well.
Well, I would request FedEx before I would allow UPS to do it.
Okay, that's a good idea.
UPS has abused almost anything I've ever received. Yeah, and this last mount was no exception. That box was, you could tell the corners of it had been banged.
Wow.
When I ship FedEx, I never have any issue.
Okay, yeah, thanks for that heads up on there. I can write to Faye and ask her to do that. I know they won't mind. And I don't mind paying a little bit extra if I know it's going to be a little bit safer, or if I even just feel like it can be safer,
Ship my CPC back to when I had the issue with the center mirror loose. When I shipped it back, it had to go, it went UPS, and when it came back UPS. And when I got it back, you could see fork truck forks holes in the side of the box.
Ooh.
I told the guy when I stopped to pick it up, I says, we're going to open this up right now. And if there's a mark on that scope, I said, World War III is going to hit this office.
Wow.
You're not going to like what happens. There wasn't a mark on it, but I wasn't happy about the box.
Yeah, they poked a hole in my Skywatcher box too, and they missed the tube. But that was UPS. I don't know why the hell they keep using them.
Yep.
They just abuse them.
Oh yeah, and I had I built a really nice old cedar chest back when I was in high school for my older sister. And my brother-in-law passed away. They didn't have room for it anymore. So they're down in Florida. They shipped it UPS to me. And when the cedar chest had exploded, it was just shredded. So it took a lot of rebuilding to put it back together.
A lot of toothpicks, huh?
It was. I mean, I had a bag full of toothpicks.
Not quite.
Hmm. What do you got there? What do you got there, Rolando?
Well, Jeff didn't give me the Zoom eyepiece. He didn't throw it in there, so I had to buy one. I bought the Lunt for Zoom.
Which one did you get?
The Lunt Zoom eyepiece, 7.2 millimeter to 21
Oh,
and a half.
I really liked mine, and I didn't want to give it up. It's a great eyepiece just to throw in the Lunt case. It's not an ethos, but it's really does a fine job for solar. And I think they've got some solar coatings or something on it too. Faye made a comment about it because I was talking to her about their other single focal length eyepieces, because my ethos won't fit in it because they don't make a 2-inch focuser, which is kind of a bummer, but.
Anyone else? Anyone looking to sell some gear?
Rusty has got some finder scopes.
Rusty is also muted.
Got a Newtonian in the sim.
Actually, Jeff's got them.
Yeah, so if anybody needs a nice finder scope, he's got 3 of them. I know one's a Celestron, and isn't one an Orion?
There's 2 of them are Celestrons and one's an Orion.
And one's got the Celestron bracket on it, like the SCT has. So if you need it, they're both straight through. They're all straight through, but they're
Yeah, they're the
nice shape.
50s.
So truth be told, Rusty, I sold the 102 millimeter that I got from you, and that guy needed a finder scope. So I bought one from you and put it on a bracket that I had for Explore Scientific, and
Okay.
added that. So that's how that one got sold.
Okay.
All right, anyone else?
Someone said something about a Newtonian.
I did.
Who's I?
Me, Gamino.
You got a Newt for sale.
I've got a Newt for sale.
Is that Explorer Scientific?
Yes, it is.
I did ask that guy, and he's the one buying my mount. If you still have it when he gets done buying that, he has the money, he's interested, but
Okay.
I have no idea when that'll be. Won't do him any good to have the scope without the mount first anyway, so.
That's right.
Yeah, maybe if you get him out there with your mount, Byron, give Rolando a call, and Rolando can kind of happen by with his scope and just for kicks set it up and let him take a peek at the whole thing.
Right. That's why I tried to tell him he could, because you're wanting 350 for that Newt, right?
Yep. Yes, sir.
With that, yeah, I'm selling that mount for 550. He could have a pretty good rig for taking pictures for $900. Hell, that Vixen mount, I'm sorry, the AVX mount is $950 new. So heck, he could have the whole kit and caboodle for less than the cost of the mount.
All right, anyone else?
Steve, did you sell your Traveler?
No, I loaned it to John.
Uh-oh.
He took a look at it. I just said, so he has it right now.
What were you wanting for that again?
Well, if you look on Astromart, I mean, the going rates anywhere between 5 to 55. And I bought it for $4,700. That's all I was looking for it. But I think John assumed that I was selling, astrophysics stuff is not cheap. Okay. And all the accessories the accessories are $200 to $500 a pop. And I think there was some misunderstanding between him and me that I was going to sell the whole scope and all the accessories for even less than that. And, yeah, which isn't going to happen. So I told him, I said that, and I've gone out there with them many times where we piggyback the Traveler on the 20. So I just told him, I said, just go ahead and just borrow it, so you don't have to buy it, just borrow it, So that's where it's at.
I was wondering if Sinkson might be interested in that. Did you happen to talk to him, Steve Sinkson? Because he and I both got on that waiting list for that little AP that they were going to sell. And I don't think that either one of us got on there. So.
Yeah. He's the one that bought the PAC 6-inch scope. Is that it? To the guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I communicated with him about a month ago, just in general about the PAC scope. Just I wanted to know what was his, not the deal with the scope, but the deal with when he worked with astrophysics to get it fixed.
Yeah,
I had some questions about that because I had tried with them before. I know Ken Boquist had some trouble too.
Yeah, he and I drove up there with the primary, And they
Yeah.
completely redone it and pulled off all the coatings. It doesn't have coatings on it now.
No, it doesn't, huh?
No.
Well, that's really odd. So they fixed the scope, but stripped all the coatings off. They don't recoat
Yeah.
it for you.
There was a reason why we didn't do that. And it wasn't going to harm any of it, any of the workability of it.
Okay. Well, yeah. And again, I just wanted to know what his experience was working with all the people up there, so what you had to do, who you had to talk to, how much it cost, and all that.
I just dropped, I don't remember what the price was, but we just dropped them an email and told them what day we were going to be up there. And there were 2 or 3 of them came out to look at it and talk to us about it. And I know once when I first got my astrophysics, my old one, it's an 89. They wanted to see it just for nostalgic sake. So they set up a meeting and I drove up there and we set it up outside in their front yard on the old astrophysics mountain. They came out and took a peek at it.
Yeah. See, I had talked to Ken Boquist and him and my experiences were the same thing. It's almost like they didn't want to see their scopes back.
Really?
Especially even if you had a problem. You had a problem with the focuser. So I didn't know if it came with the right springs on the focuser adjustment or whatever, but what I got with it and what the little instructions manual that comes with it is completely different. And it works okay, but I just want to just take a look at it. And they were very, very apprehensive about no, don't drive up here. And I'm like, okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like driving up there because there's a little restaurant a few blocks from there. I forget what it's called. I love to get their chicken fingers. They're awesome.
Okay.
Well,
Telescopes and chicken fingers. Maybe better. All right. Anything else? So what have anyone had a chance to go out, make some observations or photos? Anything worth sharing?
I got a few the other night. Can't remember when it was. It's in March. It's still March, but it was earlier March. Probably the first week.
was it at your place?
No, at my parents down in Lillyyork.
Down to where?
Super dark.
Stupidork?
No, super dark.
Super dark. Oh.
Yeah, Lillyyork, Illinois.
Anything?
I don't know if there's any way I could send them or not.
You have them up there that you want to just share?
Yeah.
And maybe we can grab them from you later and put them on the website for posterity.
Hey, Byron, I've got them.
Hey, yeah, if you can share them, put them up.
Now, let me see if I can do it.
The one of M46 was really neat because I got that planetary in it on that open cluster.
That's these here, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
Yeah, that's M46, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so that was at the PAC meeting. That's awesome. So isn't that also a globular right next to the planetary?
It's an open cluster.
Okay.
The planetary's in that open cluster.
Okay.
So that's NGC 2438 in M46.
Mm. 2 for the price of 1.
Now, I took these with that Canon T4i I bought used that's Astro modified. And I had just put the cat's eye on that Newtonian and lined it up. You want to get something pinpoint perfect. The cat's eye system is second to none.
Huh.
If you bought that and put it on your scope, you probably throw away your LASIK collimator because I'll put the laser collimator on that after I run that cat's eye, it's off.
Really?
Yes. Not a lot. I have the HOTEC. Yeah, it's off about half an inch.
Is it easier to use?
Yes and no. When I bought it, I mean, I screwed it up and I had to find something to realign it because with a astrograph, it's offset with that extra large mirror. So I had to buy that system, and I actually took my center dot off and put the recommended reflective center dot, and that it's kind of hard to explain. It's notched, and you match those notches with the screws to adjust your mirror. So when you put that cat's eye, the second stage of that, you basically end up with 4 reflective images, and you merge them all into one.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, it is pristine perfect. But yeah, this M42, and boy, the reds on that full spectrum really come out. How long was this one? This was 90 seconds.
Wow.
And I've never gotten that other one as good either on that lower right corner. But okay, here's M51. M80, 81 or 82? 82.
Says 81.
Oh, it's 81. Okay, 81.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's super dark out there. Yeah, I had to try this too. Flame and Horsehead. Yeah, the Rosette at 1600. And I did it at 3200.
And this was 240 seconds.
Yep.
That camera does a nice job.
Yeah, I see a lot of people on CN regret getting rid of them. They seem to have that 1600's the sweet spot with it.
Yeah.
That's not bad here though either.
And the cone, which I had to work on this one to get the color out.
I've never had any luck with the cone at all. And that's incredible to me when people can do like that. Mine is always just not even worth looking at.
Anybody know what that is?
Yep.
Thor's helmet.
Yeah.
Nice.
That one, and I think it's called the Wolf's Cave or something like that. I've always wanted to get, I've never had the opportunity to get either one of them. So go after that Wolf's Cave next, I think it's called.
Where's that located?
It's up in the sky someplace.
It's called a what?
I think it's called the Wolf's Cave, CAVE. I'll have to look at that again. It's something like that. But that and Thor's helmet were like two of them that it's always on my bucket list. But that little planetary is so cool.
That is so neat.
You got the little stars in there too.
That's nice. I really like the spikes. That's nice.
I was using that Skywatcher 8-inch on the CGEM 1, and I was auto guiding on camera.
Cool.
I've got some pictures that I haven't shown at a PAC meeting, but I can show those. Oh, Rolly, I got your pictures here too.
Son?
That would see it. It'd be cool to see them both.
There's a monochrome.
Is that with the Lunt?
This is with my cell phone.
I mean, the scope,
Yes, yours. Well, mine, yes.
yours, yeah.
Some nice prominences.
Yeah, do you have a holder for your cell phone, Rolando?
What's that again?
You have a holder that holds the cell phone up to the eyepiece?
Yeah, it's a clamp on. Yeah, Celestron sells them.
Yeah, let me know next time we do it, because on both those pictures, we want to tweak on that Edelon. I think you could bring that back a whole bunch of, because you can kind of see it all in there.
Yeah.
And I bet you that you could tweak and bring a lot of that out, even with the cell phone, but that's very cool that you got all those flares popping out in some sunspots.
Yeah, the next thing I want to try the 35 millimeter because I've got the adapter to put on the eyepiece and everything. So I want to try that next.
And that does video, right?
Yes.
Yeah, then you'll be in great shape. And Elle, we'll keep yours a secret.
So the other, when was this, Rusty? This was last Tuesday, right?
Yeah,
We went out to the PAC Observatory and caught some migrating birds. I don't know if you can see them here.
Yeah, cool.
Didn't know that was happening. And this was at, all these pictures are kind of all just thrown in one spot on my hard drive here, but this was at Niabi. And then what I've been goofing around with is trying to photograph carbon stars. And it's not going to have the kind of artistic effect that the Orion Nebula does and some of those ones that Byron did, but I think it's kind of cool. You can usually identify these things immediately when you see them. They're usually pretty red.
That's pretty cool, though.
Yeah. And okay, so last Tuesday night, Rusty and I were looking at the moon and noticed there was a star that just popped out, and sure enough, there was an occultation, Eta Leonis, right there, right over the horizon.
That's a UFO.
It's a UFO. That's kind of cool, though. There's some more
Carbons.
carbon stars. There's Arloporus. That's a nice one.
Are you using your DLSR to get those stars?
Yeah, yeah.
Is that like a really, really fast exposure, or could you go like normal? Oh,
That's 10 seconds.
Gotcha.
I think most of these are like 10 seconds at ISO 1600. And some of them, you know, I probably could have done a little better job, but I was going more for quantity than quality. I'm amazed how many carbon stars there are. This was the moon the other night at Niabi, and I couldn't fit it in one shot, so I had to stitch two images together.
what do you use for that? Do you use that Microsoft, whatever it's called, ICE or whatever?
No, I just dropped the JPEGs into PowerPoint
Line them up?
and line them up. Yep.
Cool.
You can't really, I mean, you can kind of tell there's a line right there, but you can blur the edge, so it's not very noticeable. But it was kind of cool at Niabi when I threw this picture up on the screen. People were really shocked because you could see these craters. You can, like that one right there. There's a mountain in the center, and there's a shadow of that mountain. It's illuminated, but you see the peak.
Cool.
That's really cool. And this one's the same way over there. And there's my Orion Nebula. Maybe not quite as spectacular as Byron's, but I was able to get the trapezium in there.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
And I cheated, actually, Byron. The original image, you couldn't see the trapezium there either, but I took two different exposures, and then I cut and pasted using PowerPoint the trapezium into the center of it. You can kind of see it's a little darker in here, and that's because it's a lesser exposure. So it's cheating. here's, I wanted to improve on your spikes, Byron. So there you go, top that one.
Yeah, I don't think I can.
That's what happens if you leave the Bahtinov mask on the telescope and forget to take it off.
That looks good though, for, like I say, that looks like that scope's holding the line pretty good.
Yeah, if you can get it dialed in, the focus dialed in and locked, it's a real challenge. But if you can, boy, it's beautiful. And I think that's after that one, collimation session that we had at Ambrose the last time. So
Actually, we did it at your house the second time.
Oh, did we? Oh, that's right. We did it at my house. That's right. After we took it all apart and greased it and put it all back together. It works nice. Very nice. This is probably my favorite image from Niabi. The only planet we could look at was Uranus. And I got an image there showing 4 of the moons.
That is very cool.
That's very cool. That's my favorite image. And that's like a 5-second exposure at ISO 3200. And there's Corporoli. And there's some more carbon stars. I won't bore you with carbon stars unless you really want to see them all. A lot of them. There we go. I don't think I've got anybody else's. No.
Excellent. Thank you for those.
Yes, thank you. All right. Moving on, we have a presentation tonight. Jeff Struve is going to entertain us with a little knowledge about the Messier catalog and some tips for the upcoming Messier marathon.
Very little knowledge, I might add.
Whatever you can spare.
Well, I'm done then already, so I'll go ahead and share and pull it up here. Screen. There's, oops, don't need that up anymore.
Hang on.
Are you seeing my screen okay?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, over the past few years, I've tried to put together some presentations that are kind of designed for the public. And we were trying to figure out what to do for this meeting tonight. So I decided that since the Messier Marathon was coming up, that maybe we'd talk a little bit about the Messier Marathon and Messier objects in general. So that's basically how this presentation came about. In no way am I any kind of expert on any of this. It's just that I actually got to do one and I was really happy with the results. So I thought, okay, well, I'll go ahead and put something together. So this little picture here is all of them just kind of thrown up on the screen there. So Messier Marathon, I know that most of you know that this guy, this Chuck Messier, French guy, was interested in seeking comets. And back in the day, Halley's Comet was coming through. So he decided he wanted to check that out. And of course, that was, part of the thing was proving Newton's theory. And do you all kind of know what the Newton's theory is and how that involves Halley's Comet? Anybody want to volunteer?
Well, Newton's laws of gravity were the key to finally plotting the orbits of planets and other objects around the sun.
Exactly. So what was happening with Halley's Comet here? It was going by, so they were watching the thing, and it disappeared behind the sun, of course. And then they waited and watched for it to come out the other side of the sun, and that they kind of were figuring that curvature and that type of thing, and so that it had to kind of whip around the sun somehow, for some reason, they decide, yeah, well, that has to be some sort of thing like gravity that made it do that. So anyway, that's kind of how he kind of got involved in that a little bit. He ended up discovering 15 comets, but in the meantime, he was so distressed about seeing all these other crazy objects, these little faint fuzzies out there that wouldn't move. And he didn't like the idea of spending all his time watching this object and tracking it to find out that there was nothing to track because it just sat there. So one of his first ones, it says here, it was the Crab Nebula M1. And of course, it was discovered by some guy earlier. But this is the first thing that Messier decided, okay, I don't want to see these things anymore. So I've got to come up with some kind of list. And so that's exactly what he did. He started writing down by numbers. Well, you know, this is the first one I found, and this is where it's at, and don't waste your time on it. So this was kind of one of the early journals that was kind of, I guess, copied out of what he had there. And by today's standards, oops, how come I go back there? So we've got guidebooks now to actually see all these things that he didn't want any of us to see or didn't feel that we wanted to waste our time on. I don't have this book. I wish I did, because it'd be a kind of a fun one to go through. But at any rate, there are a lot of guides out there for Messier objects. Not many of them, though, are geared toward doing a Messier marathon. Most of them are geared toward, here's object 1, here's object 2, here's object 3, rather than seeing them in the order in the sky that you need to see them. So anyway, for us again, I know I really enjoy looking at Messier objects. So for me, that's kind of a key thing I like doing when I go out. And unfortunately, the Messier marathon would have been a highlight of my year every year. But every year, the past 4 or 5 years has been rained out or snowed out or cold weathered out or whatever. But anyway, this is just kind of a list of them all. We don't want to necessarily go through them, but you can kind of see that they're kind of pretty. This is in order of numeric order, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 12. And so there's a lot of clusters, as you can see. There's a lot of nebulas. There's some galaxies in there. You can kind of see the spiral. This Andromeda is in there, Triangulum. So there's all these ones that we're used to seeing. Up there was the Dumbbell Nebula. Of course, Orion's in there, and the Pleiades. And there's just a whole bunch of very cool ones. A lot of these, the Ring Nebula, that's one of the prettier ones I've ever seen. Most of them are just kind of the little blue type of thing. So these pictures are pretty well enhanced, and they did a pretty good job on them. I think that we can image these. Byron's at the point where he's got a lot of this down. And Ellen's coming a long way too. So I think our club can produce these pretty well. We do have what we call a Messier club, and we're using that for the Observatory Relocation project, that if people donate substantial amounts of money, we dedicate a Messier object to them. The one club member will take a picture of that and we'll present that to them with a certificate in an 8x10 frame. So right now I'm working on Messier 2. We've got a picture that Craig Cox took that we're turning into an award for somebody. But anyway, this is gives us 110 people that we can try to award. And so if any of you are so inclined to make a generous donation, you can go on our list. It has a plaque and a little brass plate that's on the plaque with your name on it and that. And then, of course, you get the award. So anyway, here's the Messier objects, enough of my spiel on the Observatory Relocation project. But anyway, this is a map, and it's showing all of them, but one of them, I don't remember which one, but they're all listed up here. I think it's like 107 might not be on here. But at any rate, that's kind of a mess to look at if you're trying to spend the night trying to find Messier objects looking at something like this. We're in a pretty good location to see them. They're really northern latitude objects because that's where Messier was. And the best place is about 25 degrees north. You can see most of them or all of them for a few weeks. In our area, you only have really a few days that you can try to get them all in. But of course, we're fighting sunrise and sunset, or I should say it the other way around. We fight sunset and sunrise to see all of these. And we can talk about that a little bit later, but we can get all of them from our area. If you're in a good dark location where you can see all the horizon, you can do all of them in a single night. And that's kind of what we try to do. This just goes on to tell you 25 north is about the best bet for it. And then during the best time of year is the March, April kind of time frame. And that's how we come up with our timeline for this. I tried to pick our club night on a new moon so you don't have to fight with the moon on it, because that never is a good thing if you're trying to find faint fuzzies. This is just a little bit more about on the time of year to do it and where we're at. So not a lot of information on that slide. So where do we start when we do a marathon? Well, the best order that I found actually published, and I hadn't really looked at it until I put together this presentation, but I've got this list, and it's really kind of funny. M77, 74, 33. This is the order you try to find them. So you try to get them all in one night. Now, a classic Messier marathon, you're actually supposed to find it, draw a picture of it, and describe it before you move on to the next. You're not supposed to use any kind of automation or computers or anything, hand controllers. On the other hand, by today's standards, you almost can't buy a telescope that doesn't have that stuff anymore. And with light pollution, we're not as easily able to find a lot of these as quick. So Messier marathons have changed over the years from completely manual and drawing pictures, and people use GoTo now for them. Some people image them. Some people break them up into seasons. Ellen brought to PAC, the Astronomical League has, I think, 4 sessions of them that you can do. You break them up. There are some people like me, I just like to try to find them and see how many I can find in a single night. That hence the word marathon in my mind. So my mind says if it's a marathon, that means it's a race. And what are you doing? You're racing to find all 110 of them. So that's kind of how my approach was. But everybody can do their own thing when you do a Messier marathon. Astronomical League does give out awards for finding all of them. You have to fit some of their parameters, of course, to do that. And I can get you a link so you can see some of that information. So here's the rest of them, 27 through 52, 53 to 78. And this is the order you'd want to find them at the Messier marathon. So if anybody wants a copy of this just to write down, let me know and I can send just those pictures to you so that you've got that. Okay, so in 2015 was when Matt and I went out to Menke, and this is a little blurb that we put together about doing it. We saw 107 of the 110 Messier objects, plus 2 other objects that are associated with those Messier objects. They were probably NGCs. Of course, we saw the moon, Jupiter and its 4 moons, Mars, Venus, Saturn. So in one night, we saw 118 objects. We got there at 6 p.m. Saturday to set up and to relax and put together a game plan. And we started about 8 p.m. looking for these things. And then we gave up about 6:30 Sunday morning and got home about 9 a.m. after packing up. So, that's a 6 p.m. to 9 a.m. project that we saw 118 objects. What we missed was 74, 55, and 30. And basically it was trees that were kind of in our way where we were at over at Menke. So, Dr. Mitchell, we need to get somebody over there with a chainsaw and see if we can knock some of that stuff out of the horizon, although that's probably 10 miles away. But anyway, those were the only ones we missed. And as you can see, 74 was one of the first ones. And I believe 55 and 30 were toward the end of the night. So the telescope I used was my 12-inch Dob. And the only eyepiece I used was a 20 millimeter eyepiece. And my Dob is a push to, but it does have a hand controller. So I was able to cheat. I did a really good alignment with the hand controller, and I was really able to zoom in pretty quickly and find these objects. There was a little bumping around to have to do to find them, but I could do it. Matt used his Atlas mount with his 152 millimeter. And Byron, didn't you buy that from him, or was that Craig?
I bought my own from a guy out in California.
Did you still have yours?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so that's what he used on there, and he was able to zoom in all of them. I think he used a few different eyepieces, depending on what it was. And I think he did that because he was a little bit more finicky about how things looked than what I was. I just wanted to make sure I had him in there. So I didn't have the luxury of go-to, but the push to was pretty handy. But those were the scopes we used. These, of course, weren't taken that night. I had to dig these pictures out. We're not real good at taking pictures at our events, so I don't really have anything there, except for I did take a picture. This is the board. So we'd make notes, and then we'd come in on the board and we'd draw what we saw. So as you can see, the first couple in the order you're supposed to find them is like 74 and 77. I think they have 77 and 74. But this is the order and the time that we saw the objects. And there might be an odd note here and there that I can't read on the screen here. But you can see we've got light level meters, Matt and I do. And so we wrote down what the SQM was at those period of time. So it was pretty dark out at those times. So let me see here. Here's
Jeff, that is insane that you just did all that in one night.
yeah, it was great.
It is insane. Oh my God.
So here's 10:45. We saw these. Here's 11:15. Here's midnight. Here's 12:30, 12:45. So okay, here's 1:15, and then here's 2 o'clock. So that must have been more where our break was at. So yeah, we had this up on the board for probably a couple weeks before we felt like we wanted to take it, erase it. So, but that's the board in Menke Observatory. So that was fun. This link, we're actually listed in SEDS, and I forgot what SEDS stands for. Does anybody know right off? They just do Messier stuff, and they have lists of Messier marathons going back years. We actually did get our blurb in here, and this is exactly what they wrote. 2 members of the Quad City Astronomical Society, Astronomy Society, Jeff Struve, Matt Nielsen, decided to give a marathon a shot. They were able to observe 107 of the 110. They observed from a site housing St. Ambrose University's Menke Observatory in Dixon, Iowa. Matt used an Explore Scientific f6.5 152 millimeter achromat refractor on an Orion Atlas mount. Jeff a 12-inch Orion 12XXI Dob and 20 millimeter Explore Scientific 100-degree eyepiece. Have to get that advertising in there. Missed objects were M74, 55, and 30. So that link takes you to that site. But you don't have to have telescopes to do it. And as I mentioned before, and a number of folks, they've got a binocular program out there. They've got manual telescope program. They've got an automated telescope, and you can do it visually or imaging. And then, of course, if you belong to the Astronomical League, anybody that belongs to PAC or Cedar Amateur Astronomers, they are automatically part of the Astronomical League, but they give certificates and little awards and stuff if you complete that. And this would be the link to that site to find out what that stuff is. And then our Messier Marathon is April 2nd. And that's what we talked about earlier tonight. So hope to see you all there. And that is basically it.
Hey, Jeff,
That's awesome,
I'll take
Struve.
a
Thanks.
copy of that sheet.
Yeah, I will too.
Send it to me.
Okay. You guys want the list, correct?
Yes,
Okay. I think they're in JPEG format.
that's fine.
Okay. So I think I did a screen print of them. I think I could put them in Excel, and I think they copied over funny. I think I had to modify it and then do a screen print. So I just send everybody in this group. If you get an email from me today or tomorrow, I'll just have that in there, that list of the order to take them.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Cool.
Sounds good.
Okay.
So I noticed that they have an object there listed for 102. Did they decide to add it in? Did someone decide to add one in later?
Well, yeah, I don't know the whole story on 102. There was a lot of arguments years ago what that was. Somebody thought it was doubled. And then there was an argument that Dr. Mitchell, he had a partner or a student or an understudy that was helping him do this. And there was also some talk about they thought that they both did the same one and called it different things.
I do know there was more than just more others besides Charles Messier who was contributing to this catalog.
Okay.
I don't know specific names, but
So on this 102 specifically, that's the one that's always in question. And there's a website called Night Sky Networks. And what they do is you can register as a member on that and you can broadcast live to anybody in the world. And they've got this little chat machine that you can chat and talk to each other. And I go on there once in a while. There's a guy in Africa that's always got some stuff I watch and I chat with him. And there's also a guy in the UK that does some stuff. But my channel number is M102. And so, if you go, you can find my channel. It's M102. And if you click on it and I'm broadcasting, it says, you found M102. And that's kind of a tongue in cheek thing because, nobody really knows if there is an M102. So. Anybody else want a discussion on anything or?
any other questions for Jeff?
I dodged a bullet there, didn't I?
Well, then let's thank our guest speaker. Very good presentation.
Thank you. Yeah, and these presentations I'm putting together, I'm going to try to also narrate. So there's two different versions. So if we do public events and you have an event that, you really don't want to give the talk about, and it's about, nebulas or galaxies or the solar system, you can go out to the club and you can pull out a presentation and let it play and it'll do all the talking to you. Just let it run. So this will be one of those that'll be in there. So.
Jeff, what do you think if one day it's possible we could post some of your presentations on our website?
I think someplace we do have a few of them, but we needed a good place that it was easy for club members to find. I didn't really want to I don't mind giving them to public. I gave them all to, why can't I think of his name? Ian Spangenberg's got all of mine on a disc. But I'd like to have them where club members can get them and distribute them. The reason I really don't want them to the public is I'd like to get a little bit of kudos from the club. So, if you get a Boy Scout troop that says, hey, can you talk to us about the sun? Yeah, I've got that here. I can send you a presentation on it so you can preview it and then we'll come and we'll do a talk. So that's kind of my thought there. I didn't really want public to go out there and grab them. I wanted us to grab them and send it, and anybody could do it. I don't care, Mike or Rusty or Alan, you find one, you take it, you have somebody that wants something, you can say, yeah, we've got this, that we can do, here you go. And we can be out to do the presentation. It's that way they can kind of see what it is. And if they have a kind of an idea what we're going to be talking about at an outreach event, sometimes that helps them build a guideline so it all is a smooth transition so they know what they want to talk about before and after, and how long it is, that type of thing. All the presentations usually run between 10 and 13 minutes long, so they're not super long or anything. And I usually have two versions, one with no talking that you just click through, and then one that's totally automated. You press go and it increments the slides and there's narration in the whole bit. It just, like a little video.
Right. Yep. Okay. And again, thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
All right, down to business now. Treasurers report. Sam, over to you.
Well, not much has changed since the last time, since there hasn't been too many, well, there hasn't been too many payments coming in. I mean, most everybody has paid their dues. And the people that hasn't paid, I haven't seen in any of the meetings, so I'm not sure if they're gonna join or not this year, or it's just not showing because it's only virtual. But anyway, for now, right now in the general fund, we have 2,115 and 39 cents. We got 300 on the event fund. We got 327 and 30 cents. And then on the observatory relocation, we have 39, 547 and 78 cents for a grand total of 41,990.47.
That's it.
So I did check the mail today and there was no additional mail.
No, I mean, it's very sporadic. And now that we ended the Sherman utility stuff, we don't even get their little newspaper. So a box is usually pretty empty.
So I still am expecting $1,000 from Mid-American and $1,000 from Wilton. So I've been going there like every other day to check the mail.
Okay.
Right.
Do we need to do another membership drive kind of thing? Or are people paying and just not coming into the meeting?
So let me take a look in here on the list. On the member list. Yeah, let's look at so the people that I haven't paid, I haven't seen in any of the meetings at all. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think it'll help when we start meeting in person again.
Yeah.
We'll see. All right, then. Does someone want to make a motion to approve the treasurer's report? Byron moves. Do we have a second?
Second.
Travis seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Treasurer's report is approved. Any updates to our observatory relocation and expansion project? Mike? Mike, you're muted.
There we go. Well, the weather's starting to cooperate, except now it's going to turn again this coming few days and maybe even some snow flurries in the Friday, they said, but it's not going to last long. It looks like we're around the 50 degrees and stuff. And I haven't talked to John Baker about getting the underground cable or power down to the Menke roll-off. And like I said, just kind of in a holding pattern here a little bit yet with the weather, but definitely need to try to take the cave mount apart out at the Menke roll-off. And, you know, I got to drill the holes, but again, I need to go out there in that steel plate that I got here a few weeks ago And I just want to see how close my template lines up before I start drilling holes. It's probably fine, but might even have to put a nut on the end and kind of tweak them bolts a little bit too, coming out of the concrete, because I'm afraid they might have moved a little bit one way or the other a little bit. So those are things, in the future. So hopefully we can make some progress out there and we don't have a reinsurgent of cool weather. But I think we're going to have a wet spring. Supposed to get another inch or inch and a half again of rain this week. And in the long range forecast from the farm report, about the middle of April, they thought that we were going to, get quite a bit of rain again, which the farmers need, but it makes a mud hole out of the grounds out at Menke. You'd have to walk in from the east parking lot.
Yeah, if you want, Mike, feel free to email out anybody or the group or whatever. If you go out there and want some help, it'd be great to get the other scopes set up, even if we don't have electricity yet, to kind of try to do that. And
right. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, I'd like to take my tools out, because if I go out there, I want to get something done. I just don't want to go out there and look. I want to actually get that mount disassembled. And hopefully I haven't looked down in that lead weight on the counterweight of the cave, but that's either got to be a recessed set screw, which is a giant Allen, and I could take a bunch of wrenches. I don't know what else it would be to reach down in that hole, and I didn't have a flashlight to look to see, and hopefully it's not full of bugs or something where I had to blow it out. But it'd be good to get that mount disassembled the next time we go out there fully, and also check the mounting plate and my template so I can bring it back here and drill it with confidence. And I'm going to oversize them holes a little bit, because it'll give it a little bit of play. But then when we mark the holes off the cave mount plate to go on the half-inch piece that I got, we want to try to polar align that axis somewhat close to, and not just willy-nilly, just think it's north and drill holes.
if I go out there soon, would it be a good thing if I spend a little bit of time trying to get that weight off? Would that help?
Yeah, that helps, but it's going to take probably a couple people with some wrenches, because there's a big bolt, probably, they could be 3/4 inch wrench size. So you're going to need a socket and a wrench to hold the other side to take the actual cradle off that cradles the telescope.
Okay.
We just got to get it apart. And like I said, I could even bring the mount, the pedestal back, and the 3 pieces of the angle that goes down to the mounting plate, paint all that one color. It'd look a lot nicer if, it'd almost make it look like it's only 10 years old instead of 40 years old.
Yeah.
So,
and we'll probably want to put some crisscrosses in that tubing that's holding the 20-inch up, right? I think if we had like an X formation on each side of those rectangular pipes that are corner to corner and corner to corner,
right?
Because there's quite a bit of sway on that.
Yeah, anything to make it more solid.
Yeah. I'll have to talk to Rusty and see if he knows anybody that welds.
Yeah, I got a MIG, but I don't think that's going to work very well out there unless you had 220.
Yeah, I got a 110 MIG.
So anyway, to stiffen that up, I mean, you got to get inside there if you ever want to take the bolts out or adjust it from the 4 bolts coming out of the floor. So you can't weld a solid plate on each end.
Right.
You still got to have access in there.
That's the 20-inch that was just put in there?
Yeah.
About?
Yeah.
I put angle iron across the top of those.
Right.
Yeah, I think it
Solid
needs,
it up.
I think it did quite a bit, but I still think we need,
Yeah.
because
Something else.
like this, it still shifts underneath. But I think that if we crisscross it, the top will push on the bottom and the bottom will push
Yeah.
back. So
Yeah.
that's the only thing I can think. It's not horrible, but I know guys tried to do some astrophotography on that before and it was incredibly good. And now I'm
Yeah.
not so sure, a little bit of wind catches that huge sail of a tube. So, but again, it's so much better than the structure and everything than what we had. So,
It's
Well,
too bad that it had to be raised that high to clear the drive, because if it could have been mounted closer to the floor, you wouldn't have that flex so much. But see, over at Sherman Park, there was a pedestal that was raised off the ground about a foot. So then the bolts came out of that, so it was already up.
if we were lucky enough to find a used astrophysics, they called it the El Capitan. That's an EQ mount that would hold that 20-inch scope. And that would be awesome to have that 20 on an EQ mount.
Yeah. Well, I have to get a hold of John Baker. That's gonna be another expense too, and it could be $300. I don't know, give or take, for the 100 and some. I know it's close to between 100, probably 125 to 150 feet to get from the Menke roll off down there, and might have to get some circuit breakers or whatever too. I don't know what John's gonna need, but he seemed confident that he could do it.
Dr. Mitchell, do you want to see if Jim Hannon over at St. Ambrose, he's still a maintenance guy, isn't he? The head.
Yeah.
You want to see whether they've got any electrical that they want to donate, or if he wants to talk to Davenport Electric, and that's who I think's doing the St. Ambrose work out there. I talked to my guy that moved in the coin club. The guy that built the circuit breaker box for us. I talked to him to see if he knew of anybody at Davenport Electric that donated, and he said, "No." I said, "They're all a bunch of stingy folks over there. They'd never do it." But maybe from a customer they might, or maybe Jim has collected up some stuff over the years. But like Mike said, we need 150, 200 foot, it sounds like.
No more than 150 foot, but I got kind of a rough price. But see, you're gonna have to figure out what gauge wire you need, so that, because you're gonna have a drop going that distance. So you want to make sure that the gauge is right too.
Yeah.
It might not be just regular 12 gauge. It might have to take 10 gauge or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm sure Jim would know that.
Yeah.
I can email him.
Yeah. Yeah. Jim and I were friends. We both went to Ambrose together and we hung out together quite a bit.
And I think the frost is getting out of the ground. I mean, with these rains and stuff that we're getting, I think that helps drive the frost out too. And then
Ground's getting soft here, so yeah.
yeah, and then gonna have to caulk that north half of the dome so water don't come in on that north side where we had to cut the aluminum back about 1.5 inches to fit tight on the cement slab, so that when it rains, rain don't seep in, and also rot that bottom plate on the half round that sits on the south half round. The aluminum comes down over the edge of the cement foundation, but couldn't do that where it meets the foundation with the plate, because that aluminum was below the plate over at Sherman Park all the way around. So we had to trim that off to make it fit. But now we need to caulk that in so water don't get in there and rot that bottom plate, wood plate. But I'll need to have the urethane caulk to really do it, and let me do it, because I've caulked miles of caulking. I want it to be as good as I can caulk it. I caulked with silicone the dome when they put together over at PAC with silicone, and I tried to make sure it was thick and deep and smooth, and I think it came out pretty good on the Paul Castle dome.
Yeah, it's still looking good out there, so.
Yeah. So I'll caulk that, but the weather's got to be right. It can't be wet and it can't be, it's got to be at least, it'd be good if it was like 65, 70 degrees, because then the caulk will flow better too. Otherwise it gets stiff if it's cold. The urethane.
You
Okay,
guys will have to let me know when you're gonna go out there and we can, I mean, I can bring my welder out there. We can rigid that thing up some more.
Yeah,
Well-
I wonder what kind of steel crisscross do you want? Do you want like 1/2 inch thick by 1 inch, or?
I was thinking about just a couple pieces of rebar. What is that, about 3/8 of an inch or 1/2 inch around?
Yeah, I think it'd take more than that. I don't know. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
What do you think, Rusty?
Well, my little MIG will only do probably 3/16. It may not weld deep enough into a 1/2 inch.
Yeah.
It require a 220 welder.
How strong
Out
are,
there.
how strong are things when you tack them? I know when I was working at Lunix and Rockingham Machine that we had buckets from Caterpillar that would tack stuff onto the ends until they could permanently weld it. Because, you know, if we fit those in there, they're going to be tight as it is. All they need to be is held so they don't slide back and forth. So I
Yeah,
don't know whether that, you know, a couple of that, like I said, that rebar tacked in place on the end, just slid inside and then tacked so that it doesn't slide around. Maybe those welds will break. I don't know. But I would, next time I go out there, I'll let you know. And if you're available, you can go out with me and you take a peek at it before you bring anything and see
Okay.
what you think, you know?
yeah,
If you could fabricate those to even be rounded like the radius inside of those channels and get it snug and then just tack them in, you know, that would be
Yeah.
like a brace inside. It would even be inside of it where it really holds the weight rather than tacked on the outside edge. I don't know.
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah, yeah.
Just has to be held in place.
Only thing is, you need to take a hacksaw or steel saw with you, metal cutting saw, and maybe a 110 grinder, so you could kind of fab those ends to
Yeah.
the radius.
Well,
to
I've got
tighter.
I got a little chop saw. What would
Oh,
you
that'd be great.
call that?
And
And then
the
just
more-
just a hand grinder and
yeah.
off.
And if you could get them wedged in there tight and then just tack weld them,
Yeah.
then it would really brace it from inside, not just tacked on the outer edges.
Yeah, you
Exactly.
can
It
do that.
needs to be, yeah, it needs to be on the inside.
You know, get some of that 1/2 inch rebar would probably work pretty good.
Yeah.
Because all you'd have to do is just tack it to hold it in place.
Yep.
Just take a little fabricating, you know, and you got the chop saw, make it just a hair bigger, and then just grind the ends to a radius and try to get them wedged in there very snug.
Yep.
Tack them.
Even if you
Yeah,
don't,
I got-
you can.
I got a
fit
big
little-
bunch. We can drive them in there and get them in there tight and then weld.
Yeah.
Yeah, even if they're not super tight, you can fill the voids with a little bit of that weld.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't think it'd take a whole lot. It just needs to be on the inside so that it works against itself. If it's on the outside, it still has all that pressure, that leverage on it, but inside it can't do anything, you know?
It'll really stiffen it up. Tighter you can get them in there, the better.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Guys, well, let me know when anybody's gonna go out there.
Okay.
Yeah, like I
Most part,
said,
I'm available most of the time.
if we could get that big counterweight off, that would be good. But you know, if somebody does it and I'm not there, we need to mark that shaft because it'll make it a lot easier in rebalancing it. When we get ready to balance it, we'll know exactly about where that thing goes.
Okay.
Mhm.
So,
All right. Sounds good. Let's see, anything else on the subject? Going once, going twice. Okay, well, is there any other business that we should bring up during this meeting?
I got a
business
question.
not on the agenda. Sorry, someone,
I got a question.
yes.
So the you've got the 20-inch shoehorned in that roll off, the small roll off building. Is that its permanent place?
It could be.
And then are you going to put robotic telescopes in the new building? The building, this, the big building has yet to be built.
It planned on for one.
So yeah, where the plan is to put Cecil's 30-inch in the new building. That won't be robotic, of course, but at least one other big scope in there that will be.
And we're planning on Jim's. Is that a 7-inch astrophysics? I think I forgot the size of it. I think it's a 7, and we're still looking at like a 10 micron or an astrophysics mount that'll hold it. I'm leaning toward the 10 micron simply because I know how to automate that already.
And where is this scope that you just talked about? Where's that supposed to go?
In the new roll off.
Yes.
Cecil's 30-inch Dob in the new roll off, and Jim Rutenbeck's astrophysics in the new roll off.
Oh, really? I thought that the refractor was supposed to go in the dome, and then the 12-inch that you're going to put in the dome is just a temporary scope.
No, if we keep the 20 in the Menke roll off, we'll put the 12 that was in the roll off in our little dome.
Yes, that's the plan.
Just curious, that's all.
Yep.
All right.
We'll have a lot of nice scopes going, that's for sure.
Yep. Any other questions or items?
There's Jim.
Jim?
Jim, we're just getting ready to wrap up, so you're perfect timing if you want to bring up some stuff.
Perfect timing, huh? No,
Yeah.
sorry, I just got here so late. I thought I'd just check in to see if you were still meeting.
We're just wrapping up.
Okay, I guess the only thing I would say is, Dr. Mitchell, I saw your email that you're working on that grant update or request for the RDA. So great job. Thanks for working on that. And I will, I've started to look at it, and I'll try to give you any comments and also give you any information on, budgeting and that kind of thing. So I'll try to help.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
Does anybody else want to take a peek at that? That's a little bit familiar with grants.
I was gonna look at it.
Yeah, I'm going to take a peek at it yet too. I wanted to sit down and print it out and digest it too.
Yes.
You have to have that in this month, right, Dr. Mitchell?
Deadline is March 31st. And I also looked at their website. The deadline for the report on the first grant we got from them is due at the end of April. So I need to work on that, and I'll let you know what info I'll let you know what info I need for that.
Okay.
And is there anything else? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Then do I get a motion to adjourn?
Nope. Nobody wants to talk. Nobody wants to leave.
I don't want to be rude, but then again, I'll move to adjourn.
I'll second. Let's go.
Sam approves, Jim seconds, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, who cares?
Who cares?
All right,
Okay.
good to see you all again.
Good to see you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.
Got it all.
Have a good
Night.
night.
Yeah, at some point, I want to talk about having the banquet dinner where we're going to do that. I really need to get back with Doubletree, only because there's going to be a 2-week period where I'm not going to be there at all to eat, and I want to, get them when the getting is good. If we decide we want to go there, I want to lock them in. So we can talk about that at the next board meeting.
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Anything else you got on your mind for me?
Not that I can think of.
Did you have any bad feelings about the email I wrote to PAC about not talking to us about our events at their meetings?
Well, not yet, as long as it doesn't lead any further bad feelings between the two clubs.
Well, I was just so disappointed that they didn't even ask if there was anything else. There were 9 people in QCAS at their meeting. That was more than half of the attendees. And like you did tonight, we've always asked and talked about PAC events and future ones. And,
And yes, I understand that it would be nice if they'd reciprocate, yeah.
yeah. And again, even if I don't care if they talk about past events, but it'd be nice to tell fellow astronomers of stuff coming up in our area. I mean, it's not only, being cooperative with our local clubs, but it's also a disservice to the fellow astronomers not to tell them what's going on in our area, I feel. So.
Well, I'll be at their next meeting and I'll see if I can steer them in that direction.
Well, I know we can just speak up, but I feel like we're frowned upon if we do that. I mean, it's like, we want to interject something rather than being part of something. We're interrupting the meeting by saying what QCS is doing. It should be part of it. Hey, this is the local stuff in the area, and they should bring it up. It should be them, not us saying, bragging about something or whatever. But I just don't get it, But you're right. I don't want to cause hard feelings, but they're sure not making it very easy for me to feel good about it.
Well,
They asked at their last meeting about what they were doing for Astronomy Day, and nobody had anything, but nobody at all mentioned the thing that we do over at a school and, 2 locations is a big event. And if we had good weather, it'd be a great event. But that's always the case. But, to not even say anything about that.
Well, all right, well, as I said, we'll go to the next meeting.
I won't say any more about it. So I threw it out there to the new president and to Al because he was, in both and he could talk to it, and you because you're in charge, and me because I was torqued off. And
Actually, that reminds me, who is their president now again?
it's Dale Hatchell. So
Dale
if you look at that, if you look at that email I sent, it was the 4 of us, Dale, Ellen, you, and me.
All right, well.
Anyway, I said my piece about it, and I was very direct about it because being passive about it didn't seem to get anywhere. Doing it and hoping that they would do it because didn't get anywhere. So my next thing was I needed to be blatant and say, why don't you guys do this? And we've been doing it. So I don't think Dale knows because Dale's not a QCS member. So I think it was news to him that we promote them in that manner.
We'll see what happens then.
All right. Hey, thanks a lot and have a good evening.
Good night, Jeff.
Bye-bye.
Bye.